I remember in a conversation we had a few months ago, you talked about the idea of sinking into the dark gradually.
Exactly.
How does this work?
Yeah, with Mark and Jennifer came up, we want, obviously because I show films, we can't have the sun coming in direct anyway, otherwise that will kill the image. But I also, for those of any of you who know my work, I also don't like dark spaces, I don't like black rooms, I don't like curtain spaces, I don't like anything which resembles a kind of mise-en-scène of the cinema. So I like to keep the spaces about as bright as one can keep it before the image starts to deteriorate. So you've got kind of, so there's a sort of a contradictory, conflictual desire. I want the places light, but films need, or video projections need darkness. So finding that right balance. So what we simply came up with is using automated film that you use to make your car darken. We just put it on the glass, starting at a very light filtration right around to the end of the building where it's much darker. But even on the darkest spot, you can still see the outside quite clearly. You can see through the glass and see the outside. So on the exterior, it looks like it's a blackened space, but on the interior, it's quite a light space. Relatively light, I would say.
So, I mean, you say you don't want to stage your films, but on the other hand, there's this idea of the relationship between the projected image and its environment. Somehow it's as if you want people to include the environment as part of the film or the experience of the film, or, I mean, how is that working for you?
You know, in the perfect world, I would like a very conservative space. I would like a space that was just a big white room, you know, and to have projections on all the white walls. And that's how, I mean, that works for me. I like that. I like that architecture. I like that form. I think it's not the only way to show works of art, but it's a very good way to show works of art, because it's a fiction, and it's an ideological fiction, but it's the neutralization of the world. It's sort of like, it's basically, I mean, we all know what it means. It means that when you're looking at this work of art, you're not distracted by the world outside, and it gives you a kind of opportunity to look at that picture as a kind of coherent whole, as a kind of metonymy for the world. And sorry, my phone is going off. But ignore that. Sorry. But obviously, in a situation like the Canadian Pavilion, one can't do that, you know, because the pavilion has a lot of glass. I mean, I could have, I guess, painted the glass black and blocked out the roll altogether, but then I would have been back to the situation of having to then increase the light. And I think, slightly contradictory, I kind of like the building. You know, I know a lot of people, especially in Canada, complain that the building is pretty horrible. But I kind of like it. You know, it's a famous Italian architectural firm, and it has quite a kind of ambitious relationship to modernism. It's the only modern building in that part of the Giardini. We have the kind of imperialist architecture of the British Pavilion, the French Pavilion. We have the Nazi architecture of the German Pavilion, and then we have this very modest, modern form, which is about, I guess in 1958, when Canada joined the Giardini, it's a country that, excuse me, that had aspirations to be, you know, part of the world, and you know, whether by fluke or by luck, it chose a kind of modern form. So I didn't want to negate that. And I think the problem with blacking out the windows completely and building a kind of totally independent space inside would have negated the building, and I didn't see the point of that. On the other hand, I don't want the building to dominate the work, so hence the architectural changes I made to it to make it more, to make it easier for the viewer to experience my work as autonomous forms and not as some kind of installation of